I'm Floyd Davis IV, and this is my 24/7 HH King bars. My dad always told me, hear no, see no, speak no bullshit. But I got some in my eye. It's hard for me to focus. It's difficult to filter when I'm speaking to these roaches telling me what I want to hear till I can't help but quote it. And life can be a bitch, doesn't read the way you wrote it, so it's time to cross those lines out every time it's open. And you can have enough ambition to swim across an ocean, but you'll drown in the beginning if you really think you're going. So there's a line that's like real simple, but like life can be a bitch. It doesn't read the way you wrote it. So it's time to cross the lines out every time it's open. Every time I plan something, every time I think of things going away, it usually flips upside down. And that becomes the better story, And it's about, accepting what it is and crossing out the parts that didn't work and writing the next page on purpose, I think the whole song in general is it's kind of speaking to, it's good to maintain the optimism and the fantasy, if it serves you. But it's also about being realistic, and there's a lot of double meanings and all that stuff too, But that specifically speaking to, cross it out, write it again, And it, then one of the next lines is, you can have enough ambition to swim across an ocean, but you'll drown in the beginning if you really think you're going. And that's just talking about, keeping that, maintaining it, but don't let it kill you, dream big as fuck, but understand you're standing on the ground where everybody else stands too. So let's be, at least practical in the terms of, all the real life stuff going on around it. I think all my music is kind of deeply introspective. I write myself my own little life lessons and mantras so I can grow. I've been doing that forever while I've been making all the art and the stage sets and build outs of festivals and all this stuff. And it's been the thing that I've been using for myself to intentionally grow and produce things that provide a perspective of that in my body of work that people can maybe attach themselves to the tone and grow themselves. Seems to me those thinking always stay convinced they're floating because they fill themselves with hope based on a grandiose notion. And shooting for the stars, that is for idiots, you know it, because if you literally reach them, you'll be dead before your moment. And if it doesn't make you stronger, it kills you. Quote it. Write it down, read it then, repeat it so you know it. And I'm just being honest, inspiration from the hopeless to hide your fucking heads to hear no, see no, speak no bullshit. I think everything's just speaking about the dichotomy of life, as high as you want to go up, you got to go that far down too. And it's just the way it goes. Everything's balanced. But the whole shooting for the stars thing, realistically, if you are really shooting for the stars and you want to go to the stars, we won't last, we'll burn up and dissipate. That is a ridiculous thing to do, but it's a saying we use and apply to our lives all the time to talk about what we want to achieve in a grand way. And they do the same thing to you both ways, it's a thing that can burn you up when you're really just set on that side. You gotta look at what's on the ground at the same time. But yeah, I think I somehow by making all this weird music, I became my own motivational speaker, but in a dope way. And I think delivering it through all the art and the, the different sounds and the vibes and stuff is gonna be a illustrated life, a musical storybook with I don't know, a little bit of something for everybody. And that was a verse off of a track called Predators from my first musical release as an artist, called Made My Luck. And it's about maintaining a reality perspective while also building your dream, and the dichotomy of those two and how you need both to exist as a creative on Earth, I think. I mean, I'd say the context in terms of Predators in context of the project as a tone or the sound, I kind of almost consider my music like Taco Bell food. There's a million things on the menu. They're all awesome. They're all made of the same stuff, but they're all really different. So tonally, everything's a little darker. That's just what I like. That's the stuff that always resonated with me, that helped me heal and feel good, and I could dwell in it and I could feel great in it, all that. So most of my stuff is a little bit darker tone. But it's all down tempo, pitch shifted, piled up break beats with deep distortion on guitars, heavy life shit, in a whimsical, poetic, but masculine as fuck way, And I think it's just tough love music. And it all fits in that. Some of it is like predominantly hip hop. Like I'm just like, yo, I'm, you know, blah, 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 blah. And some of it is like, I'm really like singing about some like real heartbreak stuff, you know? And some of it's, you know, it's as dynamic as the artwork is, as, you know, like even the album cover for the single for Predators is art. It's like a picture of some crown molding I created that's like cut into drips with like a wood pattern that's like a digital manipulation of like a picture of one of my wood cutout paintings. It's like a manipulation of my face and whatever. It's the way I do the lyrics in a lot of my lyric videos that I'm working on. You know, it's like this, it's a collage of real things, digital things and everything. It's like my art connected. I guess like my whole theme in life is don't box me, you know, like try, you know, like I'm all over the place. But like at the same time, I'm also trying to put it in a box, you know, like I'm trying to like deliver it in a dose that can be received, because like I think I have something that people might want, you know, like it makes me feel good, and like the people close to me that have been exposed and reacted and whatever, it's, you know, like I think it's a real positive thing. That's what I want. My music is part of a body of work that's like all of my creative outputs at once. So like I produce all the music myself. It's all loop based hip hop structurally, but I play and sample myself playing several different instruments. So there's a lot of grunge, like alternative influence, rock, soul, blues, and it's like heavy distorted guitars. Like I build weird objects that I'll make percussive sounds out of. I sample old records. It's like a combination of like a very wide dynamic of a bunch of influences I've had throughout my life. I started playing guitar in the early 90s. I've been obsessed with hip hop since I was 5. I like to incorporate everything at once. So with the music, there's also sculptures and paintings, murals, furniture. There's like everything. It's about life as art. So this is the voice of all that. As like a painter and a sculptor and a musician and all of these different things that I like combine at once, I like to work in things in layers, you know, which usually appears as like complete chaos and disarray. But like, even when I'm recording, I usually have like a beat looping that I'm making that I'll like sample parts that I did like when I was younger. I'll like find a break beat that I chopped up in the like early 2000s or 90s or something, and then use that, slow it down, like play guitar on top of it, and then I'll play that on repeat in the background while I'm like working on art on the other side of the room so the lyrics can grow. Sometimes the verse comes first. A lot of times that's what happens. I have like hundreds and hundreds of like notes in my phone that are all like, you know, like verses this long about feelings. So like I'll like kind of like pick those different things apart, and I usually use my music as a communication, so it's often like triggered to like get produced and finished or whatever when I have like a point to get across, or like when I finished a painting or a sculpture that was about those lyrics or that concept, and I have to like give it its voice. So I'll even like the verse from that song specifically from Predators, I wrote, I believe when I think I was like 27 or 28, and I'm 38 now. And that was one that always like stood with me. It's like even out of context, because like there's references to earlier verses in that song that I poached that from, but it applied so much to the concept of the song, you know, like that realistic optimism, or like the like head in the clouds, feet on the ground kind of shit. So like I like to sample myself and become my own mentor, like musically, artistically, spiritually, any of these things, you know. And like I think as an artist, like I think this might resonate with most creatives, you like when you're creating new things, you really do look for like a mentor type source, you know, like you want somebody, some sort of guidance, because like creativity is newness, you know, so it's a hard thing to get advice on and whatever. And so now I'm like kind of like looking back and like finding those spots where like I had the idea when I was younger, and that thing that like only could have been executed with the guidance of somebody more experienced. And I'm like, bet dude, thanks for that one. Word, I'm gonna do that on my shit now. You know, 21-year-old Floyd, brilliant. You couldn't have done it, but I did. Watch this, you know. That's like given, you know, it's given me a lot more ammunition creatively. And it's given me a lot truer thing, you know, like, because now I'm looking back, I see drawings I did when I was in high school that are like on point with my aesthetic right now. I'm like, did I do that on purpose, or is that just like the deepest part of me that was always communicating that, you know? And like, it doesn't matter because it's all here. You know, it's like fluid. I like to kind of tie everything together so much that people can't take any one piece apart, you know? Like, I want the body of work to make sense. I don't care about the one painting on the wall, or the one song, or the one anything, because like that song has a whole gallery full of shit that goes with it, and then like 20 life stories, and I've used that song therapeutically to get through X, Y, and Z, you know? And people have told me that it's done that for them too, kind of shit, you know? So like, that's what everything means, and I want that to be, that's the soul of it, right? So like, that's what I want it to be connected to. So like, I obsess over that. I do it in layers, and then I'll like throw a whole thing away and pick it apart, like scrape a verse off of it, and like, you know, add a new guitar because I broke mine and it sounds cool that way, you know, like just kind of using whatever's available to me, like including my own work, you know, and like, and I think that then also it, you know, it's a lot of aesthetics, but I think my music is hip hop. It's like absolutely hip hop. It's all sample based. It's like, that is the soul of it. That's what inspired me to make music. That's what it is. That's the people I love and support. That's the industry that welcomed me. You know, like that's where I exist as a fine artist as well, mostly, you know. I think when, you know, like you almost apply that like hip hop mentality to your life where you can like sample yourself and like take the dope part and loop it and then like put that in your stuff. Like I use that as a philosophy, you know, like I chop up my own art, nail it to the wall. Looks better when it's like, you know, missing a couple pieces, you know, like that kind of stuff. And I think that theme is now finally like harmonizing with itself, and like people will actually be able to like take it in, you know, as a connected thing. But layers, that's what it's about. I mean, like I feel that as an artist at all, you're supposed to express your life, and you're supposed to express the things that other people can connect with. And the thing that most people need connection with are getting through things that they feel that are heavy or traumas or whatever. And I think as an artist, you're obligated to be overly honest and like overly expressive and expose everything you can and deal with it artfully, because we're privileged to be able to create the way that we do. You know, I think that like, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like a lot of artists feel a lot, you know, and that's kind of what creates this chain reaction, or like a psychiatric reaction of like producing artwork in some pockets. I don't know, I think that like that's, you know, what I always connected with in music is it's healing quality. And like same thing with art, like the inspiration of being capable of that, you know, like I've been so affected by so many different forms of art and music that I was out of a way to make me feel good about myself, to like a way to like create the life that I wanted. I had to learn the skill sets to produce those ways as well, because I was so affected by the power it had in just an object or a song that could play it as many times as you wanted, or, you know, any of those things. That's like a way to capture your life energy that lives forever, you know, like that gets to be forever. And you can spend all your time doing X, Y, and Z. And I found that when I was trying to heal myself, I was producing, and that made me feel good. You know, like not only did the actual end product that was a purging of an emotion or an idea or a trouble or a way to like artfully construct something that was positive for myself out of an otherwise negative situation. Like when that, you know, that worked for me from other people's expressions that weren't accurate to my exact thing. So there are ways that I felt that I wish nobody would have to feel, and I don't know where that came from, but ultimately, to be able to produce something that made that feel better, I want to be able to share that with people. Don't really care who doesn't like it, it ain't for you, you know. But if it feels good and you want it, here you go. It's a strange thing too, because it's like you have to be really personal, which is, it causes a lot of social dissonance, you know, like it is a very personal thing. Like, but there's also, it takes isolation to create it, which I think is really, like, you need isolation to be able to connect with everyone. And that's the message, I think, that is the human story, you know, like, I think that applies to anybody. I think that an artist is kind of like a litmus test for society, right? Like we react strongly in view so you can see what's going on, and our reactions and expressions become what's going on around us. And it's a metaphor. It relates to anything you're going through in life. It applies everywhere. And that's really what I want my music to be, because like I'm trying to teach parts of myself that weren't ready yet, you know, through my expression, that they're fine and we're getting through it and it's going to be better, and, you know, to keep going because I get to do this. Maybe somebody can't play the guitar or write the note or make the sculpture or sing the thing, but will understand the tone and will benefit from that and apply it to themselves in the way that they live their lives, or the way that they treat their friends, or the way that they set boundaries for themselves, and like look inside themselves to see what the fuck could make them as passionate as I am about all these things, you know. I want to live as an example for that, for anybody. And that's a really heavy thing to apply to some songs that you could just enjoy if you wanted. But, you know, if you really want to get deep on it, we can go all the way, you know? And that's what it's all about. Like, I think that making things that appeal on a surface level, that are fun and cartoony and, like, dope or whatever, it's entertainment, but it's entertainment with a purpose, you know? And that's the dichotomy, too, which I think is, like, kind of tied into the theme of that song, even. Is about these two opposites that are always trying to connect. Coming up next, I'm kind of changing everything in my life. So the only way to really follow what I'm doing is Instagram, which is at Floyd A Davis IV. It's just all in a row. And I started a new website. It's retry143.com. I don't even think it's live yet, but it will be.